I think I'll be an aquatic ecologist. In fact, no. I want more action in my life, more power. I know. I'll become a cop. Not enough dough. I've got it. Finance broking. That's what I'll do. I'll become a finance broker. That's pretty much the career progression of today's guest, a multi-award-winning finance broker who took the long way round.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, infinitely more important, you're a motivated business owner, ready to crank out some great marketing and turn that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. And that's pretty much what we do around here. So, big show today. Multi-award-winning finance broker Scott Matthews joins us, a fellow who, as you heard at the top of the show, has a very interesting career path, to say the least. Got an update on my book? Yeah. Gee, it's coming together nicely. I've got a motivational quote about social media myths. I've got some event dates for you that I reckon you'll be interested in if you are keen to grow your business. Oh, and I've been seeded this week. Oh, yeah. Someone has sent me something. Always an exciting moment. Hey, today's show lovingly brought to you by the good folk at Net Registry, who care about one thing, and that is getting your business sorted online. They sort everything out: domain names, web hosting, websites, you name it. Check out their exclusive listener packages over at netregistry.com.au/Timbo. And we are also made possible by the good folk at Key Person of Influence. And I think you are going to be very interested in some events they've got coming up. Might be a wacky name, Key Person of Influence, but boy, oh boy, if you want to become more visible, more valued and more connected in your industry, then check out keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo for some event offers and a free book. And it's not mine. As per usual, marketing gold, GOLD, dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
And by stuck in, I mean to today's guest. Like, let's just do that. Let's go there. So I have a long-time listener, Stuart McAdam. He's a good fella. He occasionally suggests I should interview someone. And when he does, I listen, because he's generally right. But I questioned him on this one, but he still came through with the goods. So he sends me this email. Hey, he says, hey, Timbo, would you be interested in interviewing a client of mine, Scott Matthews? He's a finance broker, entrepreneur, property investor, whose distinguished work is recognised throughout Australia. I'm reading an email from Stuart, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing. But it's leading to an intro. In 2009, Scott founded Finance Life, which is a boutique finance broking business focusing on residential and commercial lending. By this point, I'm going, oh, yeah, whatever. Today, it has become recognised and respected with a national database of clients and strong commercial relations. Yeah, there's lots of businesses like that. Sort of piquing my interest. Scott is also a successful property investor, having owned, renovated and developed more than 30 properties in the last decade. Yeah, that's impressive. I'm thinking at this point he's probably got a lot of money. He has also paddled the Murray River, raising $70,000 for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So he's a good guy, right? He's sort of got my interest, and I respect Stuart's opinion. So I go back to Stuart saying, yeah, but what about the kind of marketing angle? Why should I interview him, Stu? And he's come back, he said, well, Scott's story is compelling for two reasons. The first is that he never had the ultimate intention of becoming a finance broker. He graduated from uni in aquatic ecology. A year later, he became a policeman and spent 5 years in the force as a cop. During this time, he became a part-time broker. Sort of moonlighting. Kind of adventurous being a policeman, but probably not very profitable. And soon he realised being a broker was in his blood. So now he's got my attention, has young Stuart. He says the second is that Scott founded Finance Life. He now serves over 1,000 clients and employs 7 people. And he's making a lot of money. Now he's got my attention. So I started off by asking Scott about his interesting career choices. So, Scotty, a bachelor degree in aquatic ecology, then 5 years in the police force, during which time you became a part-time mortgage broker. Just walk us through that little career progression.
That was just an evolution of life, and I didn't really have a say in that. It just happened. I did my uni degree and really loved it. And back in, that was a lifetime ago, but environmental growth was a big area, and it's, it's for all the right reasons that you get into environmental management. But it wasn't a career for me. And, I'm 21 years of age and I'm a 6-foot male, and police was a natural place to
really
become a man.
Right.
And it was great. So the police grew me up because I was probably quite a boy. I was at 20, I was probably still a kid. And that changed pretty quickly when you start doing some of the nasty stuff that the police do day and night that maybe don't get the respect for.
Okay, so you're 2021 thinking, what do you think? I'm going to become a man. Aquatic ecology's not going to get me there. Was that really the kind of thing that went through your mind?
Yeah, well, look, my wage was $13,000 a year, which was...
As an aquatic ecologist?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're talking 98, and, I couldn't...
Right, so it was a money thing as well.
Absolutely. And I'd always wanted... So my best friend from uni became a lieutenant in the army, and I became policeman. We both had that flair to go into something a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, right. So then you're 5 years in the police force. You see some interesting things, I imagine. And during that time, you start a mortgage broking. Or you're not a business, but you become a part-time mortgage broker.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I went and got a loan for a house because I've always been into property. And I got declined. And again, my wage back then was not fantastic. And that's a bit I didn't get. So hang on a sec, I'm a policeman. You guys trust me to look after the society in the night time. You won't give me a bank loan. And I couldn't get a loan approved. And so I broke my own loan. And I got it, and I bought my first house. And I made so I think it was 2001, I made myself 50% profit in 1 year by renovating the house that I bought. And then the second house I bought, I used a broker. And this guy told me, the realities of his world. And I went, hang on, I can do that. And then I met someone, they guided me down the path of what broking was. And so the guy I still work for, so to speak, he's my aggregator. He actually sat there and said, mate, you won't make it. You won't be able to be a part-time broker. You'll fail at this. And I didn't.
What was the Scott Matthews policeman versus the Scott Matthews mortgage broker? Two different people?
Yeah, and I just kept them separate. And look, you can never ever lie to a client, but I don't have to sit down in front of a client's house and tell them I'm a policeman by day and a mortgage broker by night. But if they ask me, are you a policeman? So, well, yes, I am, and this is my other job. And I did that for a year and a half, which was excellent because I didn't need the money. So I was actually able to be a broker, to learn to be a broker, opposed to wanting money. I never had to get the next client for the dollar. So
Isn't that interesting? You started something that you needed to start because someone else couldn't give it to you, i.e. your first mortgage. Then you've gone to get your second mortgage through the normal channels, and someone has said, this is the reality of it and you'll never make it. So red rag to a bull, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And you're just there going a year and a half of getting mortgages for others, practicing really while you get paid in another job.
Absolutely. And look, it was lovely to get paid, and that money was fantastic. But I see people now entering the industry who rely on that money to feed their family, and that must be hard.
Yeah, well, desperation's ugly.
Yeah, and that's when you do the wrong thing by clients. Oh, look, you've got to sign this deal, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. The customer smells the desperation.
So what's this? I mean, your career path is unusual. Maybe it's the right way to do it. What does someone do if they're wanting to get into their own business, but they're doing it? It's like, this has got to work. This has got to work. I say to people who approach me for coaching, I'm not your port of last call. This is not. If it doesn't work with me, then your business goes bust. Then I'm not the right person for you. Because desperation. It is not a great place to breed ideas.
Yeah. It's also, it's also, you can look at the positive as well, that someone who's determined and committed to it will actually succeed less than someone. I mean, the worst thing I've ever heard is, let's give it a go. No, let's not give it a go. And in fact, if I can quote the great Yoda from Star Wars,
go for it.
Do or do not. There is no try. So be a mortgage broker and be a damn good one, and give it your guts and your heart and your soul. Don't have a crack at it. Your clients deserve more than that. They don't want to know that you had a crack at their mortgage.
Yeah.
And that's that fine line between desperation, where you've got to feed the family, but you've got to have an absolute commitment. And you've got to be clever about it. You want to know your industry. And I say to people in my game, you've got to know your tools. I need to know all of my bank's products and what they do and what their niches are, and that's what makes me an excellent broker, because I know everything.
You're kind of touching on this idea, Scott, of just jumping off the cliff, really, and not looking back. I love that phrase, jump off the cliff and build the parachute on the way down. You're kind of like, we're in. This is not like, let's see if it works. No, we're in. And
that's so me. You've hit the nail on the head.
Well, let's talk about that. At some point, you go, well, this mortgage broking thing's actually this is working. I can see a long-term kind of opportunity here. You leave the police force after 5 years and you start your own business. You're a numbers guy. You get the whole business thing, I'm guessing. So, what was the hardest thing about starting your own business, leaving the force?
Well, the police was a safety blanket. At least you had a set way.
Comfortable.
Yeah. And look, when I entered the police force, Mum's like, no, you're not becoming a policeman. You've got a university degree. You're a scientist. And when I left the police force, she's like, you're not leaving the police force. You've got a good career. And I was actually working in a very exciting area at the time, and it shocked a lot of people.
So what'd you find tough? You're a tough guy. What'd you find tough?
I don't think I did. Actually, the year that I left the police force, I was runner-up for Young Broker of Australia.
The year you left, and you were part-time.
So the year I left and went full-time, yeah. And that's the national award. That's not that's not. Back then there was only one award ceremony. These days there's 100 of them.
That's brilliant.
It was a commitment, and it just half of my job is being a mortgage broker. Half of my job is it's finding the next client.
Yeah, right, okay. Marketing.
If I don't have that next client, who am I going to sell to?
Yeah.
And if you don't, you do well by the last client, and you'll get. I mean, it's different these days because I've got a big company, and I'll always get I'll get a phone call today of someone wanting finance. But back then, I had a small client list. In fact, I had 48 clients when I went full-time broking.
I want to talk about marketing in a minute, because that raises the whole issue. Like you said to me the other day on the phone, you don't do a lot of marketing, but I'm going to challenge you on that very shortly. Just Scott, wrap some numbers around where you're at today. Whatever you can, just to give us a sense of how big Finance Life is.
Well, Finance Life in the scheme of big players is tiny, but as in the scheme of small players, so we did 90 million last year, which is that's for two brokers. I did about 65, 70 million of that. My other broker did about 20 mil. In terms of Adelaide, the top 5 brokers. We've got a couple of real standouts in Adelaide. Some of my colleagues here are excellent mortgage brokers, been a lot longer established than me. In this game...
Number of staff?
So I've got 7 staff. So I've got 2 support staff. So me and another broker, 2 support staff. I've got a receptionist, and I'm just about to have a new business manager come on board, which is a big step for me.
Hey, now, listeners, I'm talking to Scott Matthews, who is the founder of mortgage broking business Finance Life, that is award-winning. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, here is a word from a couple of sponsors who make your marketing just that little bit easier.
This show is made possible by Key Person of Influence, which, according to the Huffington Post, is the world's leading brand accelerator program. Now, they've got some very cool one-day events coming up with some amazing speakers. So I asked head honcho Glenn Carlson to pick his favourite. His answer may well surprise you.
That's horrible, mate. I'm going to have to say, while there's Matthew, who's built, the third fastest growing company in Australia, sold it for tens of millions. Valerie is obviously one of the best content creators in Australia, talking about profile. Tim, his company's built over $1 billion worth of value in his clients. Andrew Griffiths, 12 best-selling books. But, mate, I'm the MC. I'm the one that brings it all together. So, despite all these amazing speakers that have got incredible tenure in their space, I'm gonna say my favourite's got to be me.
Oh, you gotta love a big cheese that backs himself. All jokes aside, do your business a favour and grab a $57 seat over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. Support for this show comes from Net Registry, a one-stop shop for getting your online marketing sorted. Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, recently told me this story of a very happy mechanic.
So one of my favourite stories of customers that I heard was a salesperson was talking to a mechanic, and he was talking about what sort of email he would like to have and what kind of hosting, whether he wants cloud or cPanel hosting. And the mechanic just said, look, I don't care, build my website, here's my phone number, make my phone ring and send me the bill. And that was the last we heard of him. He didn't provide us content. He didn't provide us any details about his business. We had his contact details. We wrote all the content and we just got his phone ringing and sent him the bill.
Net Registry, where happy mechanics go to grow their business online. Visit netregistry.com.au or give them a buzz on 1300 638 734. And tell them Timbo sent you.
Now, Scott, let's talk marketing, because you did say to me the other day, mate, no, I don't do any marketing. What is your view on marketing?
I don't do traditional marketing, do I? I just threw that one out there and you got
Gotcha.
Look, yeah, you're right. Marketing's opening your mouth and talking to anybody about what you do. This is marketing now, isn't it?
It is.
I'm probably a good marketer because I'm always busy. There's always a deal on my desk to write. But I've never done radio, TV, Google Ads, SEO words. I've had a crack at things. When I was a young broker, I had a crack at flyers and letterboxes.
Can you think what was the turning point in your marketing? Because, Finance Life, at a point in time, it is a new business. Can you think of something you did from a marketing point of view where it really gave you some significant leverage and impact?
No.
Interesting.
No, I think my biggest thing is me, my personality, and my mouth.
Tell us about that.
Oh, look, it's a real fine line that you dance between letting people know what you do without trying to sell to them. If you go out somewhere and someone asks you, the obvious thing is, "G'day, mate, how are you? What do you do?" That's a typical opening line.
It is, yep.
And I'll say, "Look, I'm a finance broker." They'll then want to talk to you about their problems if they've got them.
Would you be better off, and clearly not, could I suggest that maybe you could say, I help people get the house of their dreams? Or, first of all, frame what he is. Is he or she, are they a business owner? Are they a first-time home buyer? Are they a real estate agent? Would you be better off saying, I help people get the home of their dreams, I help people, refinance so that they have more money to spend on holidays, as opposed to just saying you're a finance broker?
I think that's a bit too sales too soon.
Right.
They'll quite often, as a finance broker, people often ask what that means, and people think I'm a financial planner or a stockbroker or whatever it might be. I think if you sell too quickly, that's the shark in the blood. You know, they'll smell the blood in the water that they're about to get sold to. They won't sell to someone. They'll, what's a finance broker? And, you know, say, oh, look, I'm a mortgage broker, but I'm also commercially qualified to do commercial finance. And then they'll want to talk to you. But I think if you stand there saying, oh, so have you got a mortgage? Nah, they're going to walk away. You're going to scare them. And it's a fine line. A lot of things in business are a fine line you've got to dance on. And being a mortgage broker is a fine line between being a salesperson and being a finance professional. You know, I can't sit there and promise people the world because I've got to be financially compliant. I've got to be professional in my approach, and that's I think that's got a lot to do with being a good broker versus, you know, if you're going to be that monotone guy, oh, I'm a mortgage broker and.
So once you've entered that conversation and you've explained what a mortgage broker is, and you've had that, you know, they've expressed potentially a need. What happens? Are you just a follow up machine, or what do you do? You're a follow up machine.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about follow up.
So last night I saw a client in the Barossa last night, beautiful part of Adelaide. And I'm driving back. It's an hour and a half drive. And there was a guy I met at a wedding back in September, and I had his number in my phone. I've met him once before, and I've just been on a family holiday to the States for 6 weeks. And I rang him last night and said, let's call him Paul. John Paul. So John Paul, mate, I spoke to you in September. I told you I'd give you a follow-up call after when I got back from the States. Here I am. Tell me about it. And I was able to recite from him at a wedding where certainly some wine had been drunk, how many properties he had, what he did for a job, what his wife did for a job, how many kids he had. I couldn't remember their names, still can't. And what he wanted to achieve, who his bank was, what his rate was, and what he was disappointed with. And that speaks volumes. So
what's your trick there? I've met people who can do this. It freaks me out.
Yeah, I just can't. And, you know, if you speak to my wife, she'll tell you I've got a mental illness and I'm obsessive compulsive. And
right, okay. So because that's powerful. That is really powerful. You have the and I think this surely can be learned. But what you're saying is when you meet someone and you establish that relationship and that rapport, listen more than talk, yeah, and get their story.
Yeah, it's like when back when I was a bachelor and you were dating. Always ask the lady 7 questions before you tell her something about yourself, because people love to talk about themselves. Every time you want to give an opinion, ask 7 questions first.
Do you have a process for those? You've clearly got a good memory, but I've seen other people write stuff on the back of business cards when they get it, or take notes in their iPhone, or do you do anything like that?
Nah, I've always my mentor in this business carries a little notebook and a pen, and he takes notes on everything. I've always wanted to do it, but I just can't. I never.
You don't need to.
Yeah, I don't need to. But you know, certainly I probably forget things. And Tim, I've got to be honest. If I go out to a party and the person's not a potential client and they tell me their name, I've forgotten in 30 seconds.
Yeah, right. So you remember what you need to. So then your follow up is then just like at some point you just kind of then say, okay, well, you know, shall we do business? Yeah.
So I'll quote this guy today. It's about $750,000, and if I'm good enough, I win his business. If I'm not, I'll continue to keep in contact with him in a very passive way. I certainly won't push. I don't ever push. If someone wants money, I'm prepared to engage me as much as me engage them. I don't chase them.
What's your passive way of following up?
Oh, just a phone call every 3-6 months, or a text message, or you know, we have similar circles. I might catch up with him again, and to be, you know, I don't expect to win the business. I know what he's got, and I know I can do better. So I expect to win the business this afternoon. But I certainly won't then hound him, ring him in a week's time and 2 weeks' time and then ring him every time a special comes out. That's the quickest way to drive someone away.
Yeah. So, and then winning the business off this guy or anyone else, does it come down to price, or do you I always suggest avoid price war as much as you can. So, what do you do?
On this occasion, it will come down to price. He's got significant investment debt that's been repriced by his existing bank, and I can beat that by about 50, 60 points, which is a fair saving, about $4,000 a year to the bloke. And he's got a wife and 2 young kids. The wife doesn't work, so it's certainly $4,000 a year is a fair chunk back in the budget.
So, do you try and avoid talking about price and move it across into some other value space?
Yeah. So one of the things that this potential client last night spoke about was he can't wait for the next property. His father's a big property owner, so is his brother, and he wants another one. And his existing bank virtually said, "Look, you've got enough. Just be happy with what you've got." And he's not. And that will be his biggest hook, is getting his next property and gearing his debt in the best way for him to do that.
Yeah, okay. In terms of, obviously, clearly relationship is everything to you.
Yeah.
Often look at industries like accounting, mortgage broking, insurance, financial planning. Everyone in those industries are busy. They also don't do any marketing. But there is this need to nurture a long-term relationship, because really it's a client for life. I mean, all businesses should think about client for life, but you guys in particular, how do you then nurture that large pool of clients that you're now building?
Yeah. So we do a monthly email to our entire database. I should start. The first thing is good database management. If you don't have the data, you can't nurture when you get too big, you can't do it. So my receptionist, who is my mother, bad move there. It's lovely to work side by side by Mum. She maintains a database, and I make sure it's very accurate. You don't want to be getting people's names wrong or mail going to the wrong house or anything.
Ugly.
So database management is really important. We send a monthly email out. Previously, we were sending a quarterly newsletter. We've recently stopped that. We're going to see if that has an impact. We do the little things like there's a Facebook page, which I use very poorly. It's there to have a presence on Facebook. I don't really use it. But I still write. What I do is, because I'm in that era between digital and paper, I still write to my clients 2 or 3 times a year. But I only write to them when it's relevant. And I believe that a fair majority of my clients read what I write, and I'll tell them about changes in the marketplace, maybe specials or opportunities that come out.
Do you mean a handwritten letter?
No. So a letter that I will type directly from me that'll then be mail merged to my entire database.
Yeah, right. So your ongoing nurturing is very mass in that sense. Do you do any kind of one-on-one stuff for maybe your top 10%?
I will, my top clients, I will virtually, whenever I'm in the car, I'm on the phone. I get in the car, I've got my top clients and I ring them. And, they'll get a phone call from me every couple of months. And I know all about their lives. That's my job. And I remember milestones and I keep in touch with them. I know what they're wanting to do, and I make sure I'm a part of that. But you said exactly what you said is right. I don't sell money. I sell relationships, and I sell myself.
Yeah.
What I tell my staff is if someone doesn't like you, doesn't matter what you've got for sale, they won't buy it. They will go and find the person they do like who's got the same product.
People buy from people.
Correct. So you've got to, and you can't think that if you're a nice person, someone will buy from you. You still have to be a consummate professional. You still have to be good at what you do.
Now, back to the bloke who doesn't do marketing, Scott. When I spoke to you last week, you had been up till about 2 a.m. writing blog posts for other blogs, or you were guest posting on other blogs, which I think is a great strategy. Tell us about that.
Oh, it's something new that I've done. And I thought, look, I did enjoy it. I couldn't sleep, so I wrote, blogs for 5 different magazines and websites, and one of them was "Be Good to Your Mum." That's what I titled it.
Mm-hmm.
I see so many young people come along and be anti guarantor lines, where folks go guarantor for young kids. Yet it's the best way for young people to break into this.
Right.
And you need your parents to do that. Be nice.
Great headline. So you're out there producing 300 to 500 word blog posts that I think you're working with a publicist to send these out to, I guess, influential people who have the ears or eyes of an audience that you'd like to get in front of. Yeah. Yeah,
that's right.
Love it.
Look, they probably will never ever ring me, but some young person might read that post and it might help them enter the property market. Mm-hmm. I love property because it's been good for me. Mm-hmm. So if it helps someone, don't be afraid of a guarantor line. And that's what I was virtually getting across. If your parents trust you, they'll guarantor you on your first mortgage. Mm-hmm. They don't trust you, you've got no chance.
Do you you say you are caught in the middle? I think you're 38, aren't you? You're caught in the middle of sort of analog and digital. You've clearly made the decision. Well, you do a bit of email, you dabble in a bit of Facebook, but nothing. Clearly for you, your marketing is you and the relationships that you build when you're out and about. Have you got any intentions of maybe entering that digital world a bit more?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You have to watch this space.
Watch this space. Love it.
In a big way. I would like to reinvent myself as the re-pioneer of the mortgage industry in a digital space. So you'll have to just see what happens there.
Fantastic, mate. I will. And that's all about one of the sponsors of this show has been a crowd called the Key Person of Influence, which is all about becoming a thought leader in your industry. And I would have thought that you're already you've won Broker of the Year 7 years in a row in South Australia. You've got the opportunity to really kind of bed that down by actually backing it up with content. Content, you're already creating these blog posts, but I can imagine you having some kind of, whether it be a YouTube channel or a podcast or a series of books or, I don't know, something that kind of really speaks volumes about who you are and what you do.
I had breakfast with my lawyer yesterday. She's really, in fact, of course, you know her. She was a young Telstra business.
Sarah Bartholomew's past guest of this show.
Yeah, so we had breakfast at Chianti yesterday. If anyone's in Adelaide, Chianti's the only... In fact, if you're a celebrity and you're in Adelaide, you go to Chianti. It's a magnificent place. We had breakfast there, and she said to me, Scotty, we've got to get you to write a book.
Yeah.
And obviously she's just released her own book. And, look, I'd like to get the runs on the board. And in my speech on Friday night, so I took... Broker of the Year for my group on Friday night, and I said, look, guys, watch this space. Within 3 years, I'm going to be on Shark Tank. And everybody said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, no, not as the guest.
As a shark.
I'm going to be one of the hosts.
Yeah, right.
As a shark. And so I got 3 years to define myself in that space, get people to take notice, and then sit on there, and I think it would be just fantastic fun. I love people with ideas and passion, and I'd love to be a part of that. But I just have to try and equal myself to the.
Have you got a plan in place? Clearly, there's something brewing, and clearly you can't reveal too much. But can you maybe how have you gone about plotting this? Is it something like is it a content marketing strategy?
No, it's a mortgage product, and it's too early to say.
Yeah, gotcha.
But certainly, look, the reality is if you jump off the cliff and try and build your parachute on the way down, you're an idiot. You want to actually jump off that cliff, know that you're wearing a baggy jacket, know how long you've got until you hit the ground, make sure you've got the right resources to build your parachute on the way down, have a backup plan in the event that, you're not going to do it in time. You can't, you can jump in, but you've still got to be business-like about it. And I'm going through a methodical approach at the moment to building the systems in the background. But what will be key to the success, or whether this ever sees the light of day, is another thing. But
you're going to give it a red hot go.
Oh, absolutely. And
I love it.
it's behind the scene.
Hey, Scotty, now, how should listeners get in contact with you? Smoke signal?
Carry pigeon. You
Carry pigeon.
I'm
going to ask. I think I know what the answer is. Are you on Twitter?
No, I don't like Twitter. I think it's silly.
Love it. Well, I'll send people over to financelife.com.au and they can find out more about you. Mind you, the website needs a bit of work, but that's just between you and I, mate.
I agree.
Hey, Scott, thanks for sharing, mate, and I maybe look forward to having you back in a year's time once you've launched this new product, and or maybe once you're on Shark Tank and knocked off who's the real estate guy on there, John McGrath. Yeah, good luck with that.
I'm not sure who I'm going to replace. That's going to be a tough call for the producers, but I mean that's their problem, not mine. I'll be in makeup, having my makeup done at that time.
Good on you, buddy. Thanks for sharing, Scott.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, there you go, team. Aquatic ecologist turned policeman, now national award-winning finance broker, Scott Matthews. You can check out his business over at financelife.com.au. Hey, I'll tell you what, he hasn't got the best website going around. Just goes to prove you can be highly successful without a really good website. You knew that, didn't you? Top 3 attention grabbers. That's what I want to share with you. Thanks to the very good folk at Key Person of Influence, whose one-day brand accelerator is not to be missed. Grab a seat. Go on. keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. And these top 3 attention grabbers also brought to you by netregistry.com.au/Timbo. They've got 3 exclusive packages to help you get your business found online. Because you are who Google says you are. Righto. Attention grabber number 1. Put effort into managing your database, even if it involves getting your mum involved. Yeah. And once you've got it under control, your database, not your mother, then use it. A weekly email is a good place to start. Go back and listen, actually, to episode 131, where I interview email marketing expert Shane Tilley. It's an absolute cracker. I'll put a link to it in the show notes for this episode, which is episode 297. Can you believe that? Wow. Smallbusinessbigmarketing.com is where you'll find all that. Attention grabber number 2. Ask questions of your prospects. Get to know them and make them feel special before bombarding them with information about yourself. I've got to tell you, I've taken a lot of Uber rides lately and I have noticed an unusual link between all Uber drivers. Bit of a generalisation this, but you get in their car and they all immediately start talking about themselves. Now, I've got a theory on this. The theory is that many Uber drivers aren't, that's not their full-time job. Their full-time job is something else, much more interesting potentially, and Uber is helping them finance that dream. So they want to tell you about their dream. But I don't want to hear about it. Not all the time. I want to talk about myself. I digress. Uber's good. I'm interviewing a fellow in 2 weeks' time, the rideshare guy. Really interesting story. He's become he's an Uber driver, but he's making money by helping other Uber drivers, and it's very interesting. Attention grabber number 3, always have a big goal to aim for, even a little goal for that matter. I'm actually not the biggest goal setter going around, so that's why I grab my attention. But I have just started employing a technique that Tim Ferriss shared in a recent blog post. I won't tell you what that technique is because it involves buying something. It wasn't that expensive, but I want to test it first. I'll reveal more in an upcoming episode. If it works, maybe I'll reveal even if it doesn't work. They're my 3 attention grabbers from that interview with Scott Matthews, thanks to Key Person of Influence and Net Registry. What was yours? What did you learn? What are you going to implement as a result of that fireside chat? Hey? If you listen to it, there must be something in there. I reckon there's something. Everything we listen to, read, watch, do, there's got to be a learning. What was yours? I'd like to know it. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and look for episode 297 and tell me. And if that's too hard, hit me up on Twitter at Timbo Reid, R-E-I-D, and let me know. Dan Zarella of HubSpot once said, "The next time you hear a social media myth, question it. Ask for proof and ask out loud." Yep, love that quote. Love it. Way too many social media myths out there. Oh, I've got 1 million Instagram followers and I did it one by one. Well, you did not do it one by one. You bought them most of the time. I don't know. Social media, you know what I think of it. Hey, a bit of a book update. Signed off the cover this week. Signing off the internal designs tomorrow. Send it to the printers tomorrow afternoon. Oh, hello. And I've already sold 200 copies to 2 conference organisers. They've got me speaking at their conference in the coming weeks, and that's exactly what I wanted to happen, having the ability to offer 2 conference organisers, something additional to my speaking services. I'll sell them at the back of the room, and I will sell them on my web. I will sell my book on my website. Have I told you what it's called? I think I did. The Boomerang Effect. The Boomerang Effect. Because what you put into your marketing, you get back in multiples. You like that? My forum members will be the first to know when it comes out, when it's ready for purchase. You can join the forum, crankmymarketing.com. Head over there. My email list will be second to know. You can join that over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, and it will be available for sale on that website in perpetuity. Hey, never stop learning. That's my kind of catchphrase. And I've got a couple of events here. Besides the KPI, Key Person of Influence Brand Accelerator Days, which you should go to if you're in town, another strategic partner of this show is the National Online Retailers Association. And they've got a couple of really good events. They call them e-commerce expeditions, where you go and visit really successful e-commerce businesses, meet with the owners, do a tour of the facility, have a little piece of cheese and a cracker, and ask questions. This one, I've got 2 here. One's in Brisbane, one's in Melbourne. Friday, March 11, 2016, you have a Q&A session with Beginning Boutique, which is a pretty cool clothing business for, I kind of think it's like teenage girls, young girls, and Edible Blooms. They're good. I want to get those guys on my show. Friday, 11th of March, 12 till 3:30 in Brisbane, or Bris Vegas, as we call it, out of towners call it. Friday, the 22nd of April, 2 days after my birthday. Hey, make a note of that. In Melbourne, you can do an e-commerce expedition all day, 9 till 6, with the executive teams of Redbubble and Adore Beauty. That would be a ripper. I would encourage you to go over to nora.org.au, and there is a discount code that you can apply for a 20% off the ticketed price. So head over to nora.org.au, look for the event, and the discount code, you ready? 67397734. Those Nora events are rippers, and I encourage you to go along. Got some great feedback from listener Tom Harris of the Farus Tech group. Hard word to say, that one. Hard word. Business names fascinate me sometimes. I look at them going, oh, is that a good idea? It's hard to spell, hard to say. Hey, Tom says, hey, Tim, just a quick email to say thanks. Thanks, Tom. It's been an exciting first full year of business, and things are going and growing really well. But I have a few regrets. I haven't been in the forum enough. Oh, mate, don't worry about that. My intention with the forum, Tom, was to give you a place to go for a small monthly fee to ask a marketing question when it came to mind and get an answer on it. That's it. So if you go in there once a month and get your answer, get your question answered, that's fine. Don't need to be in there all the time if you don't want to. Think of it as marketing insurance. Tom goes on to say, I have just accepted a proposal from David Warren to get his outsourcing team to assist us so I can focus on further growth and bigger opportunities. This will help a lot. Well, that's great. David Warren, past guest of the show, now has a wonderful outsourcing business in the Philippines called Cornerstone Business Solutions. More on them in episodes to come, by the way, team. Tom goes on to say, I haven't commented in the show notes. Sorry about that. I really do love the shows, though. Yeah, well, I don't know, Tom. Mate, if you're not commenting, how do I know? I assume the only people that listen to the show are those who comment in the show notes of each episode. So in that case, I've got about, 43 listeners. Looking back to when I first made contact as Tom the engineer and told you my story 2 years ago, I'm now working 100% for myself in a business that is modestly profitable. And here is the big clincher, team, supporting my family. Oh, mate, Tom, that's brilliant, mate. What a big win. Let's not talk small wins. Let's talk big wins. You've started a business and you're supporting your family? Mate, that's wild. It seems an eternity ago. Small business, big marketing has been a big part of this journey, so thanks again. Tom, mate, I love your work. Thanks for sharing. Team, let's help Tom. I don't know what he does, but I'll spell his website for you. FERROUSTEK.com.au. Hey, I got seated this week. Parcel arrived. Pretty excited when I get seated. Seated means someone sent me something, potentially in the hope that I'll mention it on the show. Always do. Still waiting to be seated by Qantas and Mercedes-Benz and Tag Heuer. Won't happen. Oh, it might. I don't know. This parcel rolled up from Russell Gibbons. Huds and Toke. That's the business. Open it up. There's some donuts and a birthday cake in there. But they're doggy donuts. And it's a doggy birthday cake, eh? Not for human consumption. Although Russ does say I could eat it. It won't kill me because there's no naughty stuff in there. But I haven't. I've saved it for my dog. My dog's name's Mr. Charlie Bucket, in case you didn't know. So, Russ, loved meeting you the other night at that event for the Otium Group up in Maroochydore. And thanks for seating, well, not me, but Mr. Charlie Bucket. He loves the donuts, mate. Like his dad, me. I love donuts. One of the great inventions. You should check out hudsandtoke.com.au for doggy treats and things like that. Great little business. Thanks, Russ. Righto, that'll do it. That said, plenty of marketing gold coming your way in the weeks ahead, guys. Special episode next week. We are joined by a wonderful woman, Julie Cross. She also goes by the name of Miss Sparkle. So if you're struggling to be authentic in your marketing, to find your voice, to own your space, oh, you are going to love what Julie has to share. Very inspiring episode next week. Hey, be sure to use NetRegistry to get your online marketing sorted. They've got a great do-it-for-me website package, $79 a month, over at netregistry.com.au/Timbo. And grab a seat at the upcoming Key Person of Influence Business Brand Accelerator over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. But only, and I mean only, if you want to create an unfair advantage in your business. Hey, thanks, Audio Buffoon. Oh, no, that's not Buffoon. Boffin, Audio Boffin. Daryl Delirious Misson for pushing all the right buttons and making this show sound as it does. And to Lockie Doley for how he plays with his organ. Oh, no, hang on, not that. Hang on, it should be how he plays his organ. Another spelling mistake. You can check him out over at lockiedoley.com. If you want to surround yourself with motivated business owners, head over to the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. I'll see you inside. Crankmymarketing.com is where you will find it. $69 a month, 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. No risk at all. And you might just improve your marketing. If you need a speaker for an upcoming event, Reid, reid.com.au is where you'll find all about me. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Thanks for listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.